Hello YouTube. In this video we're going to talk about picking a computer, desktop or laptop. Which brand is the best? I want a laptop. Stop. Before you just jump into wanting a laptop, you have something to think about. I know the rave or craze today is to want something smaller and mobile, but that isn't always what's the best solution for you. So let's answer a few questions first. 1. Are you actually going to take this thing mobile and use it in places other than home? 2. How long is it going to be up and running? 3. Are you trying to play games on it? 4. Do you perform video editing? 5. Do you watch a lot of movies or TV shows on it? If you answered no to question 1, then a laptop really isn't necessary. If you answered anything longer than a couple hours on 2, then a laptop really isn't as efficient. If you answer yes to 3 or 4, again, the laptop isn't as efficient. If you answered yes to 5, then maybe you're wanting a Roku or a smart TV rather than a laptop. All will be explained later in this presentation. I want a desktop. Stop. Before you just jump into wanting a desktop, you have something to think about. You can't always just go buy the system that's always the best solution for you. So let's answer a few questions. Where is this thing going to sit? Do I have the room for it? 2. Is this machine going to be easy to tie into the network or internet? 3. Are you trying to play games on it? 4. Do you perform video editing? And 5. Do you watch a lot of movies or TV shows on it? There are smaller form factors to help consume less space. However, with a monitor, keyboard, and mouse, it's still going to use up quite a bit of desk space. Also, it is best to look at what you really need versus what you think you want because of cost. A machine with greater computer power, such as a high-end CPU, a large amount of RAM, and a high-end video card for gaming and video editing, comes with a much higher cost than just a simple system used for nothing but browsing the internet. All will be explained later in this presentation. So should I get a desktop or a laptop? Well, let's look at the laptops and desktops in comparison. A laptop is designed for mobile use. A desktop is designed for a stationary workstation setting. Laptops are designed to run for short hours and be turned on and off frequently. Desktops designed to run for a very long extended period of time and do not really like to be turned on and off frequently. Laptops are designed to be powerful, but not so much for graphics and CPU intensive operations such as heavy rendering or 3D video. With a desktop, they are designed to run full throttle. It doesn't matter if it's graphically intensive or heavy 3D graphics, as long as you got a decent 3D graphics accelerator card, desktop could care less. So what else is going on there? Well, with a laptop, they're designed to throttle down as much and as often as possible, mitigate heat, as heat is a major issue for these things. Hardware failure can result in the entire system being trashed. And they're smaller and consume much less space. So what's left on the desktop? Well, the user can implement all kinds of heat dissipation so the system runs cool. Individualized hardware makes it easier to replace only the piece or the part that had the failure. It doesn't kill the entire system just because something went out on it. So let's say, like with your laptop, if the video card goes out, that's it. The whole thing has to be thrown away. You're, in most cases, going to spend almost as much for a new system board as what you will for a whole new laptop. With a desktop with hardware, if the video card goes out, you just throw the video card away, pop another one in, you're up and going. And the other advantage, or the other thing with a desktop is, they're larger and consume a lot more space. So what's special about a laptop? Laptops have their place in both home use and business in the world. A laptop for mobile use is perfect because no one wants to pack up and lug around a complete and heavy desktop system that takes time to set up and break back down to move it again. Laptops were designed to be a lightweight and complete all-in-one unit that is easy for users to pack up and travel with, as well as being able to quickly get the system in, out, and set up to be up and operational. This mobile ability also generated some special challenges that manufacturers had to figure out how to deal with in order to make the system capable of surviving. I mean, they had to figure out how to, one, shrink the system down so the hardware would all fit in such a small case. And then they also had to figure out how to make all the components compressed down onto a single board so that way everything would fit into that tiny room. And last but not least, they had to, well, I wouldn't say last but not least, but they had to figure out with the processors how to make them use less power. They had to make the processors much more efficient because the desktop style processors generated a lot of heat and they consumed a mass amount of energy. Laptop processors need to not be so hot and consume less. So they were able to develop a lower power, high efficiency processor that would throttle the frequency down and throttle itself down using very little needed of the system, so it would generate less heat and could cool off. The thing also is fully capable of throttling itself up to full power when needed. The memory chips used in desktops were too big and ran too hot. Manufacturers had to find a way to shrink the size of the memory chips way down so they took up less space, and so that way they also ran cooler. This was where the SO-DIMM come in. They operated very much so the same frequency ranges and speeds as their full-size partners in desktops, and they also come with the same capacities. They are designed very differently. Manufacturers had to find a way to incorporate a built-in screen for the users to be able to interact with the machine. A lot of time went into making them thinner, flatter, and lighter. So now that they've succeeded in getting the system smaller, what happens when you pack all this heat-generating equipment into a very small space? It gets very hot. So manufacturers had to also design a heat decimation system into their laptops. All of this worked out great, but there's still one last final flaw: shock. What happens if you drop it? That's right, when you walk, drive, or any means of moving the laptop around, it is going to get shaken and jarred around. In desktop systems, you drop a hard drive far enough to generate a sudden shock to it, that's it, the drive is done. With laptops, the manufacturer had to develop components that can take the brute force of the shock and being dropped or rattled around and still function without flaw. The final challenge was to design a system that could be turned off and on many times, and it wouldn't really have an issue with it. This is accomplished by two factors, one being that the unit is run on lower DC voltage, and the fact that it has battery supplies of constant power to the system. So it doesn't have that sudden shock that desktops have when you just turn the power on to go from an off state to on and ready and active. All of this compact hardware comes together into a single unit that has almost all the same capability and computing ability as larger desktop systems. The biggest advantages are its ability to pack up and go mobile and tolerance to being turned on and off frequently. Some of the very high-end laptop units do a great job with gaming and 3D video rendering, as there are many companies and corporations that use laptops for heavy and intensive applications. Some users, especially animators, do so as well. The systems capable of this have a fairly high price tag. For just general use, you can pick up a decent laptop for around $300 to $400 US. That's more than sufficient in connecting to the internet and running most applications. It will probably even be capable of running a few of the lower end games. The big thing is, as long as you dissipate the heat, you're good to go with a laptop. You always have to be mindful of where the vents are and never set them on any foam or blanket or soft surface in which the vents can be easily covered, as you can quickly fry the system. Laptops are great at what they do, which is why so many schools and businesses now incorporate them into their environments. They're usually quick and easy to set up and run on most of all applications rather well. There are not a lot of compatibility issues with laptops, as the hardware is designed to work with itself quite well and the operating systems are designed to work with the hardware very well. Laptops have reached the same level as desktops, in which they are rather inexpensive and can be quickly and easily tied into an infrastructure network via either Ethernet or wireless network. Laptops are just as diverse as desktops, as there are several manufacturers and many different models and designs that give you different features and functions that you might need for your daily work with the system. So what's special about a desktop? Desktops are designed to provide a power punch of performance. Their design is extremely modular, in which most of everything is broken down into boards or card components that can be easily swapped out, upgraded, or replaced. Desktops have proven time and time again their place in the world, be it for home use by an end user or an enterprise setting at any business, be it large or small. A desktop is always up to the challenge and can be fairly easy to set up for the job. Even more so, it can be quickly customized for whatever task it's needed for. Desktops are designed to be built up, then put in place. You have all kinds of hardware options depending on your needs. You then image the system or install the operating system, then tie it into the network, and you're in business. A desktop can be fully capable of handling most of any application you can throw at it, as long as the system specs meet the requirements of said application. With today's systems, it's harder to not meet the requirements than it is to exceed them. There really haven't been a massive amount of flaws, and manufacturers have implemented many different form factor designs, in which most common one today is the ATX form factor. The hardware keeps evolving and the new technology keeps coming out for desktops, and at an alarming rate that makes it difficult to keep your system up to date with the latest and greatest. Desktops have a massive amount of support out there, both hardware-wise and software. You can find help at almost every turn. Parts for desktops are everywhere and abundant. A desktop is a system of choice for gamers because the hardware is capable of running its insane video cards, and designed for them today are overpowered like no other. Just compare a video card of today with the standards of one from 5 to 10 years ago. Same goes with hard drive sizes, memory speed and size, processor speed and number of processing cores. It is crazy how much they've evolved over the years. Should I go with a laptop or a desktop? The thing to ask yourself, what am I going to use the system for? This will give you a baseline of what the hardware specs will be that you'll need. What kind of applications will I be using? This will help you determine if you need a higher end video card, processor, or a large amount of RAM. Will I be storing a massive amount of files or running virtual machines in the system? This will help you determine the need for a processor with more cores than 2 or 4, and if you need storage space of greater than 1 terabyte. Last but not least, will I need to take this machine mobile? This is the main one that will have you decide if you go with a laptop or a desktop. There's nothing wrong with having a desktop system that contains all your major hardware and is the main application for your system, hardware intensive applications or games. Then also having a laptop to be able to take mobile if you need to check your email, send a quick email, or anything like that on the go. By having the better higher end desktop, this can allow you to purchase a much less expensive laptop that will suit your needs for mobile use. What brand should I get? There are many different computer brands out there, and you shouldn't really worry too much about the brand except the price. HP tends to be a bit higher, and Acer or Gateway tend to be on the lower side in the desktops. For laptops, HP tends to be higher, while Acer and Gateway tend to be lower. The big thing is, if it will solve your problem and serve your purpose, then what matters? Each brand has models that are horrible and models that work great, be it desktop or laptop. With a desktop, there's a better option, which is to build your own. That's right, a custom computer. In this way, you can have total control as to what hardware goes in the system. You can build it to suit your exact needs, and if you're like me, you can spend about $1,100 on a system that a brand name would charge you around $12,000 for, just because of the hardware and specs. So let's compare the pros of laptops and desktops. Laptop, mobile use, low power consumption, many different models, stable design, specialized support for each model, system never changes, impact resistant, and it's a single unit with mouse, keyboard, and monitor all built in. Desktop, modular design, vast amount of parts, vast amount of support, standardized form factors, vast support in operating systems, can be customized for need, and it's stationary to the location or site. So let's compare some of the cons. Laptops, heat, mass amounts of heat. Doesn't like running extremely long spans of time, such as days or weeks straight. Lack of modularity. If a major component fails, the entire unit's usually trash. Specialized support, usually for just the unit and operating system that was OEM released on that unit. Desktop cons. Doesn't like to be shut down and turned on frequently. Doesn't respond well to power loss without expensive backup power batteries. Doesn't respond well to impact, and it takes up a lot of space. It's not mobile friendly, and it has a separate monitor, keyboard, and mouse, which take up a lot of space with only the exception of the all-in-one units. So, in all honesty, which system's really best for you? Well, it's the one that's going to perform the job and take care of the problem for you and fit your needs and budget. I'd like to thank you for your time on this presentation, and this information is out there for absolutely everybody. As always, watch, like, and share, and have a great day.